In this video, we will break down week 13 for Survivor, and we'll have a special bonus talking about our preview for the playoffs. And it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Wiley.
And I'm Aaron Dean, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
Hope you guys are ready for a good turkey week. We got a lot of things in store. First, we want to give Eric a little bit of break. He's taking a nice Thanksgiving week off, so I know you guys are probably sad not to see him. And actually, next week we're not going to do a show at all because we're both going to be traveling. So we apologize in advance for that, but we'll see you for week 15 after that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down what we believe to be the 7 top game for your Survivor options. We got the Rams at Carolina Panthers, 10.5 point favorites. Seattle at home against Minnesota, 10.5 as well. The Chargers at home against the lowly Las Vegas Raiders, our team, 9.5 point favorites. New England Patriots also at home, 7.5 point favorites against the Giants. Jacksonville on the road against the lowly Tennessee Titans, 6.5 point favorites. Miami at home, a favorite, 6 point favorite against New Orleans Saints. And finally, the San Francisco 49ers, 6 point favorites on the road at Cleveland. So, what do you think about this Rams Carolina game? How about these Rams, man?
Rams are really good. In fact, I kind of saw this one coming way back when in early August, and I bet the Rams to win the Super Bowl at plus 2,200. So I'm feeling pretty good.
That's
So
a pretty good
I'm
bet
hoping they
right
get the
now.
number one bye. But hey, I'll be honest. I think the Carolina Panthers got a little bit out coached last night against the 49ers, and I kind of see them bouncing back this next week. And Carolina actually has a fairly formidable defense, and their running game. That's the thing that shocked me most about last night's outcome was they didn't run the ball when they needed to run the ball. Shanahan basically forced the game plan of running the ball a lot with Christian McCaffrey and kind of mucked it up, took a lot of time off the clock. And I really feel like Carolina probably should have stuck to their guns and run the ball more, and that game probably would have been a lot closer with the chance to possibly win that with the final drive. But they got out coached, so I kind of think that Carolina's going to bounce back. I still think the Rams win, but I don't think they cover.
Well, it's a little uncomfortable now. The Panthers are coming off a Monday night game, and the Rams are coming off a
Mhm.
second half bye because basically that game got out of hand in the first half. I was a little bit surprised they kept their starters in there as long as they did. They almost got Puka
Same.
Nacua injured,
Mhm.
but that Rams team is very impressive.
Mhm.
Is it possible that they may get a little bit of a look ahead to the next week? Maybe. It's in Carolina. Most of you don't have the Rams available because you probably used them a couple weeks ago. But if you don't, we've been all saying, hey, look for this week against Carolina. But I think the Rams have Tennessee next week, so
Yeah.
that's something else to consider. So let's move on to the next game. Let's talk about Seattle, who had been looking pretty good. This Mike McDonald, we really like him a lot. Playing against the
Minnesota
Minnesota team that
at home.
looks really bad, but there's a quarterback change. What do you think
I think that's a good thing.
for
I
Minnesota?
mean, yeah, for Minnesota. Here's the thing. I feel like Seattle, the last 2 or 3 weeks, they have jumped out to massive leads and then kind of had to hang on to win their
Yeah,
games.
pulled their foot off the gas, which I think
Yeah,
was a bit of a mistake.
no doubt. So I kind of feel like this game could get really wacky. I still think that Seattle's a much better roster, a much better team, head top to bottom, both sides of the ball. I still think Seattle wins, but I don't think they cover the point spread. But this is a Survivor League, so if you still have Seattle on your board, sure, I would consider it. But I like another game that's way off kilter.
The Seattle defense is very impressive, and Sam Darnold has looked really good against lesser teams. He's at home. 12th man advantage, as we all know, in Seattle is a big deal. Minnesota, going through a little bit of quarterback change, but actually, like you say, maybe that improves things. They looked really bad under it with JJ McCarthy, and I know that's frustrated the wide receivers. A couple of receivers didn't even get the ball this last game.
No.
They've got to do a better job with some of the talent that they have. But yeah, they've got some good coaches. Can they keep them in this game? A Seattle team that's maybe taking their foot off the gas a little too much. Perhaps it's a little uncomfortable, but man, if you have Seattle, it's tempting. Let's move on to the next game. Let's talk about our Raiders. They're
Uh,
on the road. They're
can we
playing the
pass?
Chargers. Yeah, do we have to talk about our Raiders? It's been another yet rough
Uh,
season. We thought that that they were going to have with this new, coaching change that we'd see some improvement. Um, uh, you know, Geno Smith just has not looked comfortable. Unfortunately, their new star running back, Ashton Gianti, just hasn't had any room to run. This offensive line is atrocious, one of the worst in the NFL, getting sacked left and right. The defense has actually held up a little bit, but it's not enough. Against the Chargers coming off a bye week, Jim Harbaugh, good coach, his team's getting healthy right about the right time. Gosh, this sure feels like it could be a blowout for the Chargers. What do you think?
100%. In fact, I kind of think that the Chargers are just can't wait to play the game. And the reason why is they probably got their butts chewed out the entire bye week by Jim Harbaugh. And they just can't wait to play somebody other than just being at their practice facility. So I kind of have a feeling that the Chargers win this one.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Just a quick touch on some future value. I was just peeking at that again. The teams with future value here are Seattle and the Rams. As I mentioned, I said that they had Tennessee. They're actually on the road at Arizona next week, but I feel like that should be a win for them. But if you haven't used them, they have some future value. As does Seattle,
Mhm.
who goes up against Atlanta, who's not looking
Nah,
great right now. But
Kirk Cousins looks
not
terrible.
really a lot of other teams on the slate here with a lot of future
Mhm.
value. So at this point, if you're still alive in Survivor, congratulations. I wouldn't worry too much about future value, but most of you have probably not used the Chargers. If you haven't, this sure feels like a tempting game to pick to me. Well, let's move on and talk about the Patriots, who is everyone's picked to get the number one seed in the AFC all of a sudden with what's happening to the other teams. They're at home. They're playing against the Giants team, who actually looked pretty good this week. Should have gotten a win at Detroit.
Yep.
So what do we think? Do we think the Giants can put another game together? They got Jameis Winston back under the center. What do you think? Do you think they can give the Patriots? Most people don't have the Patriots available to them. What do you think about this game, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it was just what a year ago or 2 years ago where I said Mike Vrabel is a top five NFL coach, and I still believe that. I feel like his leadership, the way he coaches, he really kind of righted their ship. And obviously, he's had a lot of talent at the quarterback position, and McDaniels has been a quarterback whisperer with him, and he really, really looks like an elite quarterback. So. I feel like New England should win this game. I don't think it's necessarily a trap game for them this week. Looking ahead possibly for their divisional games coming up towards the end of the season. But whether it's Jameis or Jackson Dart, I think that the Giants will still be very competitive in this game.
Detroit just kind of overestimated him a little bit, and they were kind of looking ahead, which isn't surprising with Jameis Winston, being there and the coaching change in New York. This game's in New England. I think New England will take care of business. They'll make sure they do what they need to with, like you say, Mike Vrabel,
Agree.
a great coach. So I think right now it looks like we have four, relatively straightforward picks. But like as you alluded to, there's a couple other pick games that are really interesting. Let's talk about Jacksonville on the road against a pretty bad Tennessee team. A lot of people think this is the worst team in the NFL. Jacksonville, on the other hand, has had moments of brightness. They've been doing it with Brian Thomas Jr. kind of injured for part of the season. Their defense was looking pretty good, but I attended that Texans game where they absolutely fell apart in the second half. Kind of did what you just mentioned about Seattle. Kind of took their foot off the gas pedal, and it ended up biting them in the butt. To me, that's coaching to some extent. Like, that always scares us. You'll hear it, and I talk a lot about coaching. Tennessee, not sure they really have the talent to stay in games, but this is a divisional game. It's in Tennessee. I think it's, Tennessee's doesn't need to continue to lose just so they get the number one pick. They need some confidence. They need to find ways to beat division rivals. They're going to come out to play this week. This one scares me a little bit.
It should. And the reason why is because Tennessee, man, they have fallen back big in the last 4 or 5 straight weeks where they've been behind in some pretty big deficits, but yet somehow they have a knack for running a kickback off a kickoff. They have a knack for taking a punt return or two back to the house, or they have a knack for getting a pick six. And this is what scares me about Trevor Lawrence on the other side, is he has a propensity to give bad turnovers
Yeah.
and he makes bad decisions. I love, though, Liam Cohen, the head coach for Jacksonville. I think he's a bright young star, and he's trying not to give Trevor Lawrence, those opportunities to make a big mistake, and
Yeah.
he's trying to limit those things with the more of the run game with ETN. But I think this game is actually it's going to be a sweat. If you're going to take Jacksonville, be prepared to put some massive deodorant on for that game because you are going to be sweating.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of you are going to have Jacksonville available too, so I could see it being tempting, especially if you've used four of those top four teams that we've already mentioned. But I think Aaron and I like another game a little bit more. Let's talk
Mhm.
about the Dolphins coming off a bye at home against New Orleans, who got a win. What do you think? Do you think Miami's going to take care of business?
So you talked about value earlier, and this is one of those value games. And the reason why I say it's a value game is because Miami's record is putrid. And so if you can take them now, then you save somebody else that has a better record. And it now starts to become a strategy towards the end of the year because if you end up tying in your elimination contest with somebody else or a couple other people, you guys managed to go all the way through, it's going to go on win percentage. And so you'll want to save some of these teams that have really good dominant records. That's going to help you versus a bunch of the teams that you didn't take, like the Raiders and others that are just going to drag your winning percentage down. So for me, this is extreme value right here with Miami because they still have a great run game. New Orleans, they're just not going to be able to stop the run. And then the pass game, if Tua doesn't get concussed, like there's chances that Waddle and everyone else in that receiving core are going to possibly have a pretty nice day against that shaky defense.
Yeah, and Mike McDaniel's still on the hot seat. I know that people think the book's already been written on. He's still on staff, right?
He is.
So he's going to make sure that they're prepared for this game, or they're going to be make sure that they're prepared for this game. You know, I like your conversation about that. Taking advantage of the possibility of being tied. A lot of people might make it all the way to the end this year, and this is a game to really think about. I think they take care of business. All right, so let's talk about the Niners. They're on the road against Cleveland. Shadur Sanders, all of a sudden a good week
Hey, baller.
against the Raiders, or was that just because it was against the
It was against the
Raiders?
Raiders.
The San Francisco defense looking pretty good, even with the injuries. How talk about impressive what Robert Saleh has done with that defense despite the injuries is quite impressive. They look great. They kind of did get a second half break a little bit in this game last night. It really wasn't that close. And so that was more maybe for the offense because they were basically three and out, three and out, three and out towards the end of the game. Coming off Monday night, you always get worried about this road game is in Cleveland, and Cleveland has a good defense. What do you think? You think the Niners are going to walk through it, or could it be a close game?
Here's the deal. Cleveland's defense, they don't necessarily travel unless they're playing the Raiders, but they don't really travel all that well. But when they're at home, they're absolutely dominant. And then on top of that, Junkins is a stud running back. And actually, it's crazy to me. Cleveland has so much talent, top to bottom, on both sides of the ball. I kind of feel like here's the thing. The Niners have been through massive destruction on both sides of the ball with injuries, but especially the defensive line, the linebacking core. Fred Warner's replacement got hurt. I mean, Salah's grabbing guys that have been working in a bar or stocking groceries at, supermarkets. He's literally pulling dudes off the street and they're dominating on defense. But I think this is a game where Kevin Stefanski's a pretty smart dude, and I have a feeling it's going to be a huge, huge day for Junkins. And I'm not sure that the Niners are going to be able to stop the run. Shadir Sanders, he's going to start. That's what they've said. So even though Gabriel is, past the concussion protocol, but I think they're still going to ride Shador Sanders. He's kind of hot right now. But, I mean, he can throw some picks too. So if the Niners can basically take some opportunities and get some key turnovers, and if Purdy doesn't have the first half that he had this last week, the Niners should win. But I would not be shocked if the Niners lose this game.
Wow, wow.
Hmm.
Well, I think that if you look at this slate of games, you pretty much should feel good about almost all of the favorites in these games. We kind of mentioned that, but if there's a couple of games that I feel best about, it's this Miami game and specifically this Charger game, which is going to be my pick this week. That's what I feel most comfortable with. You never know what's going to happen in future weeks, so go with what you know. And I think that this Chargers is the most likely to do their job this week. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a safe pick. Obviously, the Chargers are playing at home, but it's really not going to be a home game because there'll be more Raider fans in the stands than there will be
Even though
Charger
they stink.
fans. Yeah, even though they stink. But for me and my value, I love Miami. There's a reason why Vegas had New Orleans Saints over under 4.5 wins total this year, and I took the under, and it's because the Saints suck. So the Saints are going to lose. I'm
Okay.
taking Miami.
Okay, just a good time for us to remind you guys to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't done that. And please comment in the comment section. Tell us why we're nowhere near as good as Eric when Eric's on the show. Let's go ahead and change over. We're going to talk for just a minute about our thoughts for the remainder of the season and the playoffs, just kind of pretty playoff predictions for both the FC and the NFC. So let's move to that. Aaron, you got division leaders. You got the Patriots at 10 and 2 and the Bills at 7 and 4. The rest of that division's out of it. The Ravens at 6 and 5, the Steelers at 6 and 5. And the Bengals, hey, Joe Burrow's come back this week. Can they have a chance at 3 and 8? Maybe. Yeah, that's tough. You got in the AFC South, the Colts at 8 and 3, the Jaguars at 7 and 4, and the Texans coming along at 6 and 5. And then, of course, the AFC West talked about these teams a little bit. Broncos at 9 and 2, Chargers at 7-4, and the Chiefs hanging out at 6 and 5. Who's going to be the one seed, Aaron? What do you think, and why?
It would be a tragedy if New England doesn't get the 1 seed. They have the best remaining schedule. They have the easiest schedule on the way in. And so I kind of feel like if as long as Drake May stays healthy and few of their pieces on defense and a few of their pieces on offense, their wide receiver guy, Butte and a couple others that in
Yeah.
there, yeah, and Trayvon Henderson stays healthy. They'll probably get Stevenson back at some point in the next couple of weeks as well. That'll help out. I kind of feel like as long as they stay healthy, they should win out. They should be fine.
Yeah, and that's what's to pay attention to is really kind of that strength of schedule remaining. Other than the Bills that they play at home, and then the Ravens on the road, the rest of their games are pretty winnable games. So they even if they lose those two games, that puts them at 13 and 4.
Hmm.
13 and 4, which should do it, like you said. Okay, so what about the Bills? Or who's the two seed? Because that means the Bills are going to be a wild card.
That means then it's either it's probably going to be Denver if Denver can hang on. But again, like I said before in our previous show, I wouldn't be surprised if Denver loses 2 or 3 games on the way in. I'm not sold on Bo Nix. I'm not sold on their offense. They still have some tough games remaining on their schedule. So, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if somehow the Chargers, if they win out from here on out, end up getting the 2 seed. So it
That
could happen.
That's amazing. Yeah. So they're at the Commanders this week, which some people might have wondered why we didn't have them up there as well. Commanders,
Hmm.
don't have Jaden Daniels right now, but the game is in Washington, and the reason why Denver's not on the slate is they're spread. They're never gonna win games big, which is how they're playing ball right now. They do have the Raiders after that, but again on the road, and then they're against the Packers and they finish at the Chiefs and at home against the Chargers. So, yeah, tough schedule for them. But like you say, I think the winner of that division probably gets the two seed because AFC North is just still has to battle each other. And the best, the Ravens are in first place, tied with the Steelers at 6 and 5. But then what? Then it's the Colts. The Colts probably going to be the three seed. Do we
Yep.
think, even with the Jaguars 7 and 4, any chance the Jaguars jump ahead of them? And
Zero chance.
okay.
Zero. The Colts are just too good, and now they have a healthy back end. Both their corners are healthy now, and they're back playing. So I think that that's kind of shored things up in the back end. And then that running game, Jonathan Taylor has just been an absolute beast and a fantasy warrior all year. So as long as Daniel Jones doesn't have a Daniel Jones moment, they should win all their games the rest of the way out.
Well, I don't think you should say that given their schedule. Just a friendly reminder here. So they're at home against the Texans this week. They should win that, but
They have
Texans
Seahawks
defense is
after
tough.
that, yeah.
Then they're on the road against the Jaguars,
And
but I think
Packers.
we're both feeling like they're
Yep.
probably going to win both their games. They play the Jaguars twice to
Yep.
finish out, but they're at the Seahawks and then they host the Niners. So they have some tough games. So I don't think they win out. I actually think they may lose at
One or
least
two.
two of those games.
Okay.
But the Jaguars have a similarly challenging schedule, maybe not quite as challenging, but the Jaguars are just not as good of a team.
Mm-mm.
I guess unless the Jaguars find a way to beat them twice. If they beat them twice, I think the
Then,
Jaguars win
yeah,
the division.
agree.
But let's talk about the Jaguars. So now we've basically identified who we think the top three seeds on. Maybe let's get to the divisional round in just a second. Who wins that AFC North? Is it the Ravens? Is it the Steelers with
Steelers
Aaron
have, I
Rodgers?
don't think the Steelers win. I don't think they can do it with either Aaron Rodgers or Randolph. I know that they'll somehow finish one game, maybe two games over 500 because Tomlin never
He
finishes with a
always
losing
does that
record,
every year.
right?
Yeah.
But I just don't think the Steelers are that good. Their defense isn't that great. Their offense does nothing really that special. In fact, if I'm DK Metcalf, I'm asking for a trade in the offseason because as long as Tomlin's there, I don't think he's geared offensively to help anybody on the offensive side. He's obviously a defensive, coach in general, but they don't do anything that excites me on offense, and I don't think they have enough firepower. And now the Ravens, who were decimated early by injuries, are all now starting to come back healthy. Their defense has got quite a few returning guys. I think they've got four starters back that were basically on the shelf for more than 4 weeks. And so they're starting to hit their stride. I think they've won four in a row now. And so I don't, they might just put together a really nice run towards the end of the season
Well,
here.
and they got the Steelers twice,
Mm-hmm.
at home first, and then finished the season on the road against the Steelers. If the Ravens win both of those games, no question the Ravens win this division. The Steelers have a tough remaining schedule. They're hosting the Bills this week, then they're on the road against the Ravens. Then they play the Dolphins, who actually could probably upset them, even though the game's in Pittsburgh. If they get a little snow, then I think that could help
Yeah.
them out. On the road against the Lions, on the road against the Browns, who, unless they're trying to just throw the rest of the season for draft purposes, may beat them then. Steelers may only win one more game, guys, which means they could get beat by the Bengals
And they'd have a losing record.
and then have a losing record. But like you say, they'll probably find a
Not going
way
to happen.
to finish 9-8,
Mm-hmm.
and probably won't be enough, maybe not even enough to make the playoffs. So the Ravens get the 4 seed. Who gets the 5 seed? Is it probably the second place team in the AFC West, given what you were just saying? And you think the Chargers might have the chance to beat out the Broncos, given the Broncos' tough schedule. So you think it's either the Chargers or the Broncos that are the 5 seed,
But we can't
basically.
forget about the Chiefs. I
I
mean,
know.
they pulled that thing out. Can you imagine if they lose that game last week? I don't think they make the playoffs. But now that they did beat a very good Colts team, I kind of feel like, it's a sneaky, you got to watch out for the sneaky Chiefs. So, it's really, really hard. They're just so well coached, and somehow or another, their superstars find a way to make the magic happen. And so,
Yeah, look at their
um,
schedule. They
yeah,
they they play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. It's in Dallas, but they're going to win that game. They host the Texans. Texans defense good, but that's a game that they're going to win. Then they got the Chargers. Maybe that could be a Chargers upset on the road.
hmm
Then they're at the Titans, home against the Broncos, on the road against the Raiders.
yeah,
Their schedule's lining up nicely. Those guys, they're going to make the playoffs. We're going to have 3 teams from the AFC West. And really, that means the last playoff spot's going to go to the Bills. I think we both feel confident
yeah,
about
I
that.
agree.
But the Bills may be the 6 or 7 seed,
Nobody wants to play
which
the
would
six.
be
Oof,
crazy.
man,
They could be playing the 2 seed. So you could have the Broncos hosting the Bills. I think the Bills win that.
I bet the Bills
Or
now.
the Chargers, yeah, exactly. Or the Chargers hosting them if they're the 2 seed. I think that's what we're likely to see. Slight chance that the Colts slip into that 2 seed, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be the winner of the West.
Mhm.
Probably the Broncos, and if they're hosting the Buffalo Bills, good luck to the Broncos. I think that the Buffalo might write their way all the way to a championship game against probably the Patriots at that point.
Yeah, that'd be epic.
Well, let's switch over and let's talk about the NFC. Just a friendly reminder on the NFC standings. We'll put those up for you. In the East, you got the Eagles at 8-3, and the Cowboys hanging on somehow at 5-5-1. In the
Man.
North, the Bears are 8-3, and the Packers are 7-3-1, with the Lions 7-4. And then in the South, you got the Bucks at 6-5. Panthers on bye this week are 6-6. And then in the NFC West, which is your strongest division, looks like it's a West Coast year, Aaron. You got the
Yep.
Rams at 9-2. Already talked about them a little as we did. The
Seattle.
Seahawks 8-3, and the Niners 8-4,
Hmm.
who are on bye week, week after next, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so what do we think? Is who's going to get this one seed? It's the Rams,
Whew.
right? No
It's
question about it.
no question about it. I mean, it's going to take a couple slip ups by the Rams, and the Eagles just have to find some sort of offensive cohesion. And if they do, look out. That defense line is
Yeah, I think.
top notch, and I feel like that defense can keep you in most games, but if they just happen to find an offensive rhythm, I don't know how you stop all three of their weapons with Saquon Barkley, Devonta Smith, and AJ Brown.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. So just a quick look at the Rams schedule there. I said the Panthers were on bye this week. They're on bye the same week as the Niners in 2 weeks. Rams are at the Panthers this week, then at the Cardinals, then host the Lions, then they go to the Seahawks. I thought they had already played them twice, but they haven't.
Hmm.
On the road at the Falcons, and then finish at home against the Cardinals. Kind of a pretty weak schedule, other than the Lions and the Seahawks. So maybe they lose two of those games. That's probably enough to either get the one or the two seed. But
Hmm.
yeah, if the Eagles, have they played each other head to head this year? I already forgot. The Rams and
The Rams and
the
Eagles.
Eagles.
Yeah. Didn't the Rams win that game?
Yeah, the Eagles won that game. That was
Oh,
the
Eagles. Oh, yeah. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
So if they
Eagles.
tie, which is quite possible, they both go 13-4, then the Eagles would get the one seed. So that's a real likely scenario. I think we could see that happening. So we should take a quick look at the Eagles schedule, because I think we feel confident that the four seed's going to be, and it's going to be the winner of the NFC South, which right now looks like it's probably going to be Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay's defense has been atrocious this year. What is going on with their defense? That's usually where they lead. And if Baker Mayfield's hurt, that's not good, because was that Teddy Bridgewater who came in the game?
Yeah.
They
It
have
was
to find a new quarterback. That's
no
Teddy
doubt.
Bridgewater's not going to continue for them.
No.
But that's a problem. Even though they've got some great things happening with this new Egbuka kid, and their running back situation looks pretty good as well, especially with Irving coming back.
Yep.
Tampa Bay is really the only team that can do anything, and I don't even think they can do anything. So whoever wins that four seed, which could be the Panthers if Tampa Bay has these injuries, um, they're going to lose that first playoff game. So don't even think about them. It's really the three seed, which is going to be the winner of the NFC North. Who is it? Is Green Bay's defense good enough to keep them in games? Is it Detroit, who everybody thought all year could, preseason would be the one seed, or is it the Bears?
Oh man. Man, I'll tell you what, Ben Johnson has really done a lot for Caleb Williams. I mean, Caleb Williams hasn't looked great at times, but he hasn't looked horrific at times at all this year, I believe. So he's beating guys with his legs. He's making the key throws when he has to make the key throws. He's not turning it over. He's staying healthy. He's a big kid. So I think here's the thing with the Bears, and I was impressed last week, is that they have six starters on the defense out, all of their starting linebackers out, and they still won that game last week. So they're going to get guys back, and that is kind of scary if I'm the Green Bay
But
Packers
is it
or the
enough?
Detroit
Here's
Lions.
their schedule.
I know it's a tough one.
Yeah, they are hosting. Sorry, they're on the road at the Eagles this week.
Yep.
Oof,
Loss.
that's a loss. Then they're on the road at the Packers.
Toss up.
Then they're at home against the Browns, which they should
To
win.
win.
At home against the Packers, two games out of three
Yeah.
against the Packers.
Hmm.
Then on the road against the Niners, and they finish hosting the Lions.
It's tough. All
Tough
the way around.
schedule. They're not going to go 8-9,
No.
but they might go 9-8 and not make the playoffs. They may even go 10-7 and not make the playoffs, because I think both the Seahawks and the Niners are going to sneak in as
Agree.
the 5 and 6 seeds. And then I guess that means that the Cowboys would have to make the playoffs to push out the Bears. No, I'm sorry. It's going to be either it's going to be either the Green Bay Packers or the Bears for that 7 seed. I think that's what we're looking at. Is that tie that happened against the Cowboys
right?
going to be what keeps the Packers out of the playoffs? I think it could be. I
Could
think that
be.
could be if the Bears win one of the if when they win they if they like you say if when they're healthy and they're home against the Packers if they win that game, I think it's the Bears going to the playoffs as a 7 seed instead of the Packers. And it probably doesn't matter because whoever gets that 7 seed is going to be facing probably the Rams or the Eagles, and they're going to lose that game. And so I think that there's a nice road for the 1 and 2 seeds in this to make it, with the possibility that the Lions as the 3 seed or the 5 or 6 seed, you know, being able to win and get into themselves into the NFC
So
Championship game.
here's a curveball for you. You haven't mentioned one team yet that will be playing on Thursday because they traditionally play every Thursday on Thanksgiving, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? This offense is dangerous. And so to me, Dallas is just, it's one of those wounded animals where you don't want to play or you don't want to go up against a wounded animal because that's when, you get your hand ripped off. And at the end of the day, I kind of feel like Dallas just might be lurking around and they might squeak in on the 7th seed.
Yeah, no, it's funny you're talking about that. He's not doing that just so he get more likes and dislikes because everybody knows that
I
the
hate
Cowboys are
Dallas.
either loved or hated.
Ugh.
The last three of their last 4 games are hosting the Vikings, on the road against the Commanders, and on the road against the Giants. They'll probably win all 3 of those
Yep.
games if they can beat either the Chiefs at home or the Lions on the road. Of the next 2 weeks, they got a real chance of sneaking in there. Wouldn't it be fun if the Packers and the Cowboys tied for the 7th seed?
Oh,
I
wow.
actually don't know who wins that tiebreaker.
It all
That'd be
goes
kind of
to
interesting.
different tiebreakers with divisional wins and against their own NFC. I mean, it's all kind of jacked
That
up,
would be
but
kind of crazy.
yep.
So, again, Bears, it's yours to take care of business. If you can beat the Packers one of those 2 games, I think you get that 7 seed, which probably leaves the Cowboys out unless somehow they can beat both the Chiefs and the Lions.
I kind of feel like if they just win one of those two and win out the rest, they're in.
Well, I mean, they also have the Chargers. I didn't mention that was their other game. It's
That's
at
true.
home. It is a home game against the Chargers. So they have to win, I think, 2 of those 3. If they
Sure.
win 2 of those 3 because they're 5-5-1,
Then they're in.
then I think they would be in. So that's what we think. We want to hear what you guys think. We purposely didn't talk about our Super Bowl or NFC Championship or AFC Championship picks. We'll save that for another day. We just wanted to give you some things to think about as you go throughout the season. We've had a lot of fun with you guys. We want to hear from you. We're going to enjoy our Turkey Day. We hope you do that as well. Until then, have a good one.
See you later, guys.